Hello, EFR 513 students. This is a video help for exercise 10, analysis example, ELS 2002. Now, you might see 2001 in a few things, but they're interchangeable. Okay, and so this is the file. So we're going to go into the HLS S 20 HLS 2002 file, and that's a high school longitudinal file, and we're gonna pull out these variables here. So we're gonna pull out this first one, which is scale equated sophomore reading. So here's their reading scores, and then we're gonna pull out, did they go to a 4-year institution or a 2-year institution? Have they ever attended either one of these? Okay, so that's our first thing we're going to do. So the exercise says, number one, you have identified the following variables for analysis. Create the data frame inside of R. Okay, so we want to go ahead and do that. So the first thing we're going to do is, again, we have to take our file, find our file where we have that file. Where do we have the ELS data set? So it's ELS_02_12 by, and this the data. So it's right here. You can see that on the mouse. It's right there. And so I need to identify that file, and then I need to go in and set this as my working directory. Now, once I've done that, I can double click that, and that'll bring in a statement that looks like this. Right? It'll set my working directory to first, and then it'll say load. Now, these files are going to be down here, but what you can do is copy and paste those up to have it in a record up here. So first it's going to set the working directory, and then it'll load that file. And so after it did that, I'm going to look at attributes, and we notice there's our attributes for the file. Okay, so this is a big long name. So the first thing I did is I'm going to shorten the name. So I come up here and give it an ELS. Now, when you're working with this size of data sets in R, you have to be careful that you're not duplicating a data set this large too many times, right? So I'm bringing it over here once, and that's it. So then number one, again, you have identified the following data. Create the data frame using these variables. So now I have ELS, and so I'm just going to create a data frame out of that. So I have a data frame, and I'm going to create another data frame. So data frame, and then ELS, which is the name I gave it, $, and then the variable name. So we do that 3 times. We create the variables we're using. So once we run that, I've got my data set. And for example, I can go attributes, then that ELS_1, and I can run that. And then I'll see that file. So there's my file. Here's my 3 variables. And here's what the data looks like. Okay. So that was number 1. So I created the file, and I get the file, the data set out. Okay. So now I'll create a subset of the data file for the kids who attended a 4-year institution and where reading scores are greater than 1. Okay, so the 2 variables are I've attended a 4-year institution and my scores are greater than 1. So when I say reading scores here, let's read this again. How to create a subset of the data frame for those kids who attended a 4-year institution and where reading scores are greater than 1. So, so there are some negative reading scores in here, and we want to know if they attended the 4-year institution. So that's yes. So here's my code for that. So ELS1, remember that's my shortened version of the data set, $, and then I'm asking my variable. Now, notice that I have ELS again. Why do I have that? Because when I did the attributes, right, the data files were initially named the original data file, but now it has the ELS in front of it. So this is like a major reason why you're going to shorten that name. Okay. So I got to make sure I have that in there. So then 4 years equal to 1, and then making sure the reading scores are all positive because there's a few missing values in there. And I had ELS square parenthesis which open parenthesis my variables and their conditions, and notice they're between and. Now you could have there's some code out there that's double the and. So be careful of that code, because what that's going to say is once it meets one condition, it's going to move on. So you don't want the double ands in here. You just want the single and. And then we're going to say the dimension of that work, and then what that file looks like. And we see here that the years are year equals for all ones for yes, and then all one for S. Okay. So I'll come into R, and this is where I ran that, and then right in here. So here's my analysis for that. Run that, and we see all the years are equal to 1. Year 2s are different, good, but we just want the years equal to 1, right? Because some of them went to a 2-year institution, and some of them went to a 4-year as well. But to get to a 2-year, normally you go through a 4-year, right? So here's somebody that went to a 2-year and then went to a 4-year. But here's somebody that didn't go to a 2-year, but they went straight to a 4-year. Okay? So that solves that problem. Now our number 3, it says create a subset data frame whose kids did not attend a 4-year institution and where reading scores are greater than 1. Okay, so we want the positive institution. So here, what we're doing, it's a similar thing, except now we got 4-year equal to 0, because that's not attend. 4-year attended, no, right here. So that's our 0. And then we're taking the reading scores greater than 0. Okay, we can look at that. Go to the code. Here's that right here. So I'll run that. And there they are. So we're getting, in this case, we're getting the, did you attend your 4 years college right here, right? We're getting zeros for that. And then says, now the number 4 says, now do a t-test for reading scores between those who attended 4 years and not. So now that's just a t-test. And remember, we created these files. So ELS work, yes, 4 years, and work no, 4 years, and reading scores. And when we do that, we get our output here. So let's go ahead and run that. So here's our T. Run that. And there's our results. So we're going to go back to the assignment. And then how would I interpret this? Those students that attended a 4-year college has a mean 33.4 reading score, where that I got two that did not attend four-year college, had a mean of 26.1 score. This was found to be statistically significant, and there's my APA. And does that surprise us at all? That you're more likely to go to a four-year college if you have a higher reading score. And this is the saying, like, tell me what your reading score is in second grade, and I'll tell you where you're going to go in this world. And so if you have kids or grandkids, make sure they're reading young. They got to have books in their hands. Okay, so number 5 says create a box plot of that same data. So come over here and create a box plot. There it is. So attended four-year, not attended. All right, the reading scores are higher for those that attended. Okay. So number 6 says now do the same t-test and box plot for those who have only attended a 2-year institution. Okay, so you don't want the 2 years and the 4-year people, right? Because some went to the 2 years, then to the 4 years. So you only want those 2 years. And so we're going to come up here and we're going to call them ELS, work, yes, 2, and ELS. So notice here that ELS, the 4 years, 0. And so we don't want the 4 years, and we want the 2 years. So it's 1, and then we have the reading scores greater than 0. So notice we have that extra identifying the 4 years. No, they didn't go to the 4 years. They only went to the 2 years. And we can look at that, and then yes. And so then we get each group. Yes, 2 years. No, 2 years. And then I ask for a t-test, and then a box plot. So we're not going to go through this. I want you to do this one on your own, number 6, but just make sure you get that extra code in there that says 4 years no. Okay, and a hint of the output here, I get 26.34 versus 23.81. Okay, so that's all. Again, you're doing this last one on your own, and that's all we're doing for exercise 10. Thank you.